Joining us now is a registered builder and PRO, Nigerian Institute of Building, Lagos State Chapter, Olusegun Phillips. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Now, the state of collapse, and there is a state of emergency, or the building collapse, the chapter is, or the association is asking that the president declare a state of emergency with regards to this. Have we gotten to that level? Is that what should be done?
Yeah, declaring a state of emergency on the collapse of building in the country. Well, if we look at the incessant cases of collapse we've been having in the past, that would be a good thing to do. But if I should bring it down to Lagos State here, the President's administration has been able to put up a regulation which was revised, talking about the Lagos State Building Control Agency Regulation 2019. That is actually a very good move on the part of the government. What is now left is this, to go further by showing more political will to see that this regulation...
Everybody seems to be talking about this political will. What is this about?
Yes, it is not just for you to have a law. What about effective implementation of the law?
Effective implementation. What
Yes.
will that be for you?
Now, if you say, for example, that for you to have a construction site, you need professionals to be involved. Talking about the day-to-day production of the building, that you want a registered builder. How do you ensure this? You have an agency saddled with that responsibility that is understaffed, that is underfunded. How do they carry out that responsibility? So that is one way. Another one is, don't interfere. Allow the agencies to do their job.
Oh, there's interference.
We often see that. You could have some that you will say probably above the law. So that is another case.
What about the underhand dealings that happen when builders bring their plans?
Yes, when builders bring their plans and it's to be executed, right?
Yes.
Well, when you say underhand
Underhand
dealings,
dealings.
I mean, in what way?
At the point of getting permission to embark on a construction.
Why do you need to do that? If you have done the proper things, you don't need to do any underhand
But there has been some situations where proper things has been done, but the underhand dealings in mostly government agencies, excuse me, hampered development there, and so some builders decide not to continue, and some with, excuse me, with building plans that are not at par or up to standard get a pass mark, and that's where we now see a lot of buildings collapsing in that regard.
Now, when you talk about causes of building collapse, yes, design is one of the causes. And what may come in that respect has to do with probably human error.
Okay.
Your structural design, for example, probably during the calculations, the engineer, human error, which could happen. That is why it's good for you to do check, and a second check, and a third check. You understand? Something you miss, somebody else will probably see it. You understand? So, still talking about this, your underhand dealings, it should not be. Because if you're actually doing the right thing, I don't see any reason why you need to give somebody kickbacks or whatever. But
some persons demand for it.
Well, that should not be. That should not be.
Let's begin from the point of view of, is it possible to prevent a building from collapse?
Thank you for having me once again. It's very much possible for you to have.
And what measures do we put in place?
Yes. All you need to do is for you to adhere to the codes. We have building codes, and it stipulates what you ought to do per time, right from your pre-design stage, your design stage.
Design is also part of this.
It's part of it. You could have your design going wrong as a result of human error. And when that happens, it affects the building eventually, especially if it's a structural error as regards your structural design.
Okay.
That aside. In Lagos State, we have a regulation.
All right.
The Lagos State Building Control Agency regulation, which has just been revised. It has been signed into law.
What are these regulations?
Now, for example, in the regulation, you have that on every construction site, you must have a registered builder who supervises the day-to-day activities of the building production process.
But we don't see that.
Yes, in time past, we've not been seeing that. But henceforth now, you start seeing government agency officials going around to enforce this, professional bodies, because this law was just signed, it was just passed into law just last year, towards the end of last year.
Well, there's been complaints about the fact that a lot of these registered building professionals are very expensive. And so by referral, they just get someone that has maybe erected some 3, 4, 5 buildings somewhere.
And also, relating to that, some persons, because of how expensive they are, will have to hire a quack to come do the job.
It is dangerous for you to hire a quack henceforth. There is a part of the law that says anyone that impersonates a builder, and after conviction, that person you either have to pay a fine of 500,000 or an imprisonment of 3 months or both.
Who's going to implement this law? How will, because we see that buildings are being erected every day in Lagos.
Yes.
Who goes all around to check on these buildings?
And do we have enough personnel to go around the whole of Lagos to do that?
In Lagos State, there is an agency that is saddled with that responsibility. When you talk about them having enough personnel, I'm sure they may not have enough personnel. So that is why we are going to urge the state government to ensure that this agency is better funded, better staffed, and better equipped in terms of equipment and technological wares. If this can happen, I'm sure we are going to have a better supervision going on.
Okay, but at the level of the presentation of the building, first of all, how long does it take, or how often should one do regular checks on the building, assuming the building has been certified and you've built the house? How long should it take before a recertification is done on the building?
Now, are you talking about after you have completed the building and it has been occupied?
Yes.
Ordinarily, if you actually built your property very well, according to the specifications and standards, an average property, at least minimum, should be standing without any major effect 30 years above.
30
even
years.
50.
Okay.
You understand? Though you may have little issues that maybe you want to carry out small maintenance work, maybe on your plumbing works or your electrical works, but structurally.
So where does the building materials coming in now? Because
Yes,
that is another major aspect.
That is one major cause of building collapse. When you have inferior or substandard materials in the market, your reinforcements, which is a major component, talking about the structural stability of the building. If you go to the market, you get to find many in the market who are not genuine. So the responsibility of your builder is to ensure that necessary test is carried out on your materials, like the reinforcement, to make sure that it actually passed the necessary test. When you do that, at least you know that you're on the way to ensuring that you don't experience a collapse. Okay. Then, from time to time, you have to carry out other tests, like concrete tests. Like when you are pouring your concrete, you carry out the tests to be sure that, okay, the cement ratio and the other aggregates ratio, they are in the appropriate form.
The question is that, what do we do to nip this in the bud? How can we prevent buildings from collapsing regularly?
Yeah. In Lagos State, we have the Lagos State Building Control Agency Regulation 2019 that has just been revised and has been passed into law. Effective implementation, I said effective, of this regulation will ensure that we have zero collapse in Lagos State. Well, how can it be effective?
That's the question.
That is the question. We have an agency that is saddled with the responsibility of building construction control in Lagos State. that agency needs to be properly funded. The agency needs to be staffed with the right professionals. And it needs to be equipped with the right technological equipment to carry out their responsibility. Then all stakeholders in the built environment must collaborate and work together. You understand? If we can do this, I can show you, because ordinarily we should not have building collapsing.
So if there is no proper funding and not enough personnel, what happens? Because in the interim, these issues are happening. People are losing their lives.
Yes, in the interim, that is where the professional bodies come in. In the interim, the professional bodies will collaborate. Like my institute now, we are collaborating with the agency to ensure that we go around to sites. Do they have the right professionals on site? Do they have their artisans trained and certified as the law stipulates, just to supplement the effort of the agency? With that now, you find out that people will be doing the right thing.
So are you collaborating with developers? Because across Lagos State now, you see a lot of persons demolish buildings and just erect structures on a particular foundation that perhaps is meant for a 2-story. You have 3, 4, and all of those.
Yes.
So are you collaborating with developers in this aspect as well?
Yes, that is one of the causes of building collapse. When you overload the foundation, probably a foundation that was designed for 2-story building, you decide to add 2 more just because of profit. You want to make more profits. Such sites, if we visit the sites, we will find out if they are following the regulation. Because
and if not, what's the penalty quickly?
If not, for example, probably you don't have a professional on your site, you get a fine of 500,000,
right,
an imprisonment of 3 months, or both.
All right.
Olusegun Phillips, we'll leave it here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.